Hello, friends. This week, we're taking up a new topic. We have spoken on strategy before. I've done a few episodes on strategy. And just to recap quickly, strategy is basically a plan to achieve a certain goal. It is a set of actions that you will take so that you move from where you are right now to your destination, which is the goal. And you need to use this plan. You need to create this plan first. You need to create this plan and you need to figure out the art of how you're going to use the plan and what steps you will follow to get to your destination. Strategy is basically about understanding this, especially when it comes to business strategy. It is about the understanding of the competition and developing a plan to outperform them all. A good strategy creates a unique value for a specific set of customers who are your target audience. No matter what product you have, you can never say that everybody in the world is your target audience. So, what are some of the elements of a good strategy? We've covered all of this earlier. The first is foremost is goals and priorities. Because you need a destination to then make a roadmap and move along the path that will take you to the destination. So you need to set very clear goals. And then you need to formulate, devise a series of actions, a series of steps you will take to achieve that goal. And when you start devising these steps and the action and the path, you have to simultaneously figure out what are the resources you are going to need. And do you have them? If you have them, you need to allocate them. If you don't have them, you need to figure out where you are going to source them from and mobilize those resources as well. And you need to continuously monitor that you're moving in the right direction and that you are headed for your goal and have not diverted from your original plan. And if you do find any kind of diversion, or if you find any kind of an obstacle, you need to tweak your plan, but your goal has to remain fixed. And then you need some kind of a system to evaluate that you're doing the right thing, moving along the right way, at the right pace, and that you're on schedule to meet your goal. By and large, every company I know of does strategy. Though, as I've said earlier, a lot of times they just make a plan which they call a strategy. There is a big difference between planning and strategizing. While most people at work make a strategic plan, a lot of people I know, and they are the ones who are highly successful, who also have a strategy for their personal growth and their personal lives. Now, to build a strategy, you need to first identify your values. And they are things you will never give up. You need to have a vision, which is the goal. You need to have a mission. How are you going to get there? Whether it is business, whether it is career, or whether it is personal, you need to have all of these things set. Your vision for your personal self and your company could be different, but the mission and the process has to be the same. So when you do all of this, particularly for a business, you are developing what is known as a business strategy. Now, depending on your business and depending on your goals and depending on what you want to achieve, a business strategy can be broken up into many different sub-strategies. You can have a commercial strategy. You can have a marketing strategy. You can have a product strategy. You can have a sales strategy. You can have an after-sales service strategy. And you can have an organizational strategy. And there can be many more that you can subcategorize as important enough to create a separate strategy for the same. What we are going to do in this week's sprint, which is 3 episodes, is we are going to focus on product strategy. We are going to talk about product strategy. We've talked about general strategy. We've talked about business strategy. Now we are going to talk today and for the next 2 episodes on product strategy. To define a product strategy, you need to first understand how a product gets developed. So there are a few stages that I have identified or I'm going to talk about. And the first stage is what I call the discovery stage. That's the time you get the idea. Of course, the idea is going to be based on some need you have seen in a person or a group of persons which needs to be addressed. Okay, so that idea has to be based on a solution you can offer to one of the needs or wants of a category of people. And then after that idea has taken root in your mind, you need to start analyzing and validating the idea. You need to think deeper about the idea, think more along what is going to be your final offering. And you need to make sure that that idea is really going to solve or help that customer with whatever it is you're offering a solution for. And you need to validate that idea. You need to be sure that that idea is the right one and it's going to solve the problem you are out to solve. And then you need to start developing a plan or a roadmap, as I always keep saying, to create the product. And this is right from the research stage to the manufacturing stage, to the packing stage, to the marketing. All of this, you need to start developing a plan to do all of this. Okay, so this is the first. Then comes the creation stage, which is the next stage in the product cycle. That creation stage begins with a physical design, with a plan, with a product in mind of what that product is going to be that you're going to offer to your target audience. So it starts with the designing of the product. And what are the features that you will build into the product so that your customer gets the best solution and gives the best result that one can offer with that product. It then includes development of the physical product. Whether it is a software, whether it is a physical product, you have to start thinking about how you will develop it. And you have to simultaneously, in case of physical product, find out how you're going to manufacture it. You may not have the capability, or you may not want to get into it, but you need to be able to manufacture it so that you can sell it and help your customers. And you need to start thinking of the cost of manufacturing, marketing, and at what price you can offer it to your customer. And you need to think of how you're going to optimize that cost and how you're going to increase the productivity to make that product affordable and give tremendous value to your target customers. Now, once you've started doing all this and you have a prototype ready and some samples may be ready, you do the launch state. That's the third step in the product cycle. You first do a soft launch, which is more like a test marketing launch. Okay, see what are the reactions from that small target audience, small subset of the target audience that you have taken. See what are their comments. You need to keep your ears open. You need to listen, not just hear. Okay, see what are their comments. fine-tune your product if necessary, and then you need to develop a go-to-market strategy. How are you going to get to the market? How are you going to do the formal launch? How is your customer going to be able to access and buy that product? So you need to start making a go-to-market strategy. Online, brick and mortar stores, where are you going to stock it? What kind of stores? And all of those things. So once you have done this launch stage, then comes what I call the final stage, and that is the market adoption stage. The market and your customers should adopt that product. And when you're doing and checking on this, you need to make sure that there is a market fit for the product and that you're launching it in the right space. Check for acceptance by your target customers. You need to collect data so that you can judge this on price, on value. Are customers complaining that it's too expensive? Are complaining that they are not getting value for the money that they are paying? Or are they lapping it up? And is there a scope for you to get a better price for the product? Check for the delivery of the solution that you had planned your product will offer. That means your product is the right product. It is offering the right solution for the needs of the customer. And when you get all this data, is when you will sit down and take a call, whether you want to keep the product, whether you want to redesign the product and relaunch it, or whether you want to kill the product. It's not making sense at all. Because keeping on manufacturing and selling a killing product is just money being spent down the drain. So these are the 4 stages. So a product strategy basically is a set of unique and focused choices that you make. And these focused choices target a specific set of needs or problems of your target audience. That has to be the core principle of any product. And simultaneously, that product should help your organization to achieve its own business goals, whether it is revenues, whether it is profits, whether it is keeping the factory busy, whatever else it is. But that product also has to help your organization. It cannot be just about the clients, because how long can you do it? You're not in the business of charity. You are in the business of business. Okay, so this is what you need to remember when making a product strategy. Now, when developing a product strategy, I believe that 80% of what you need to do is to have a strategic mindset as far as the product is concerned. And then the rest of it is execution. And in the same way, I recommend, though I have a lot of detractors on this point, I recommend that you spend 80% of your time before launch to make sure that you're getting the right product, and only then do you launch it. Okay? And there are 3 specific mindsets that you must keep in mind when developing a product strategy. The first and foremost is the utility value of your product. It must, I cannot repeat this often enough, it must address the challenges that you are hoping your product will solve for your customers. Are you really, or is your product really helping your customer to address the need or the challenge that they have? And if this is there, if this part is taken care of, and it is well delivered, go to market, and it has to be accessible by your customers. If these 2 things are achieved, your product is going to become such a powerful tool for your consumers, because it's solving their problem or their pain point or their need, as well as for your organization, which is going to give you revenues and profit and whatever else you need. Okay, so utility is the first thing. As we just said, profits is the second. We are in the business of making profit. We are not in the business of charity. So your product should be such that it is capable of generating long-term and above industry average profits for your organization. If it is offering less than industry average profits, there's something wrong with your manufacturing and you need to go back and look at the table. Or you're pricing yourself too high, or your raw materials or your inputs of manpower or anything else is not in sync. And your product should be capable of helping your organization to expand their market. Okay, they should be able to expand their presence in the market and cover as much market share as possible. And to do this, you need to compete with all your competitors by way of innovation and additional value creating than what their product is already doing. So you have to be better than the current products that are available in the market. Only then will you be able to expand your market. So these are the three main mindsets that you need to keep in mind. Along with this, when you make your product strategy, there are certain other things that you need to. First thing is you need to make sure that your product is not something that is easy to copy and create. You will find them in plenty. People don't want to spend the money, the energy, or they do not even have the capability to think of the idea that will create a product as good or better than yours. So what do? They start copying you. And then they'll start tweaking at a fast pace. So maybe at some time the product gets better than you. So that's where you come in, innovation. Come out with features they will not be able to think of. Okay, so one is a product which will have a network effect in the sense that users will network and help you to keep improving your product. Things like Google, things like Wikipedia, things like the app called Waze, if any of y'all have seen it or used it. They have multiple users who contribute to make the product better at all times. Or create iconic products where your product name becomes a noun or a verb that is being used for a certain activity that your product was supposed to do. Say photocopying and Xerox. How many of us even today we say, can I get a Xerox of this rather than a photocopy? That's iconic. So that's one of the other values that you can create. And then things that have a cultural impact, which become kind of a norm in society. Say Coca-Cola. When you want to offer somebody a soda, more often than not, you say, oh, would you like a Coke? That's the kind of a cultural impact. Or when you want to make a payment using your UPI, more often than not, you will say, oh, can you do a Google Pay? Or can you do a Paytm? You won't say UPI transaction. So this is a cultural impact. And on top of all this, if your product offers affordability, I believe Netflix, Spotify, YouTube, they are highly affordable platforms and everybody is using them. And they cannot get those products, that kind of a product in place from anywhere else at the price at which you are offering it. So it gives us distinct cost advantage to the users. A great product strategy is one that creates long-term strengths, as I said, that are not easy to copy and create. To get the best product strategy, to get the right product strategy, you will have to define the powers that your product wants, and you have to create those powers while building your product. And you need to decide what are the powers you want at the launch. Then as time goes, what are the powers that you want to keep adding to it as time comes? And what are the powers that will be offered at the peak, after which that product is stagnant. You'll get sales till it starts declining in utility and somebody else or you yourself offer a better version. So it will determine how long that product is going to be functional. You need to remember when creating a product and a product strategy that customers do not change. What changes is their behavior and the way they look for solutions that will help them solve their challenges. And new tech always offers a new solution. And that is why you need to think and stay in touch with what are the tech advances that are happening in the product category that you are in. Do not create a product strategy saying, I want the best product. Perfection is not what you need. Provide the optimal product, create one that is going to solve the problem, launch it, and keep improving it at all times. So to create a great product strategy, identify your product's advantage. What is the competitive advantage of your product? It should help the organization's profitability. It should increase the organization's market share. And it should cater to their needs, whether it's a pain point or whether it's just a desire of your customer. And you need to figure out how you're going to measure various successes of the product, whether it is in the market, whether it is in the mind of the consumer, or whether it is in your business. And as I said, try to quantify them. That makes it easier to compare. The product strategy must be in sync with your company's goals. If they are not aligned, then there is a fault in either the company's goals or the product strategy. And define and spell out your product vision right when you're making the strategy. That is something that is etched in stone or gold, and you cannot change it. Keep all these things in mind, and you will definitely develop a fantastic product strategy. Do send in and write your comments. We're going to talk a little more about this over the next 2 episodes. Thank you. Have a good evening and enjoy yourself.